Hi everyone, Boomer here for Cowbell Gaming, and I'm back with Lee.
Oh.
And we're moving on to the fifth video in our recording series, or our review series of Army of Myth, and we're on to bunnies and wild stuff. We're going to go wildly.
I think this is the strongest colour in the set as well for constructive.
You're a big fan, aren't you? I mean, you're a massive fan of this. Okay, well, we'll see if anything that we say bears fruit. Again, feel absolutely free to disagree with us. You know, we are not completely closed off to the idea of being wrong. Just slightly.
Yeah, I'm not bothered about being wrong.
True. I am wondering, actually, you know, because the VIP tournaments are on at the moment, I'm wondering if they're going to do anything to replace them. I really hope they do, because I think they're a really good thing. It's just that, unfortunately, certain members of the community took advantage of the fact that you could multi-account at the time. So
I think Kickstarter really messed a lot of stuff up.
But that was really the only way the game was going to get going.
It's the only way it was going to happen, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of you have to take the rough with the smooth on that. It's like the game probably would not exist without the Kickstarter, but it's caused problems, basically. And I think it's going to be a while before they can be completely solved. But I think that we can probably do a full video on that. You know, we could go on for a couple of hours regarding that. So I think it's probably best to leave it there. But you guys are welcome to post in the comments and get a discussion going on this, because I think it is something that... The problem is it's so hard to find a neutral viewpoint on it. Because obviously all the people who kickstarted are like, well, I took the risk and I got the reward from it. Whereas all the people who didn't kickstart were like, well, we didn't know about it, and Kickstarter was only open for a month, and now the time gate's closed.
It just feels like Hex feels super indebted to the people who kickstart, which is fair enough. But it's like,
there comes a point
because you didn't kickstart shouldn't mean you're at a massive disadvantage.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
we'll see how it goes. As we said, that's something for another time, and we could go on for hours about it. And I could add on a load of stuff about my opinions on the Hex economy as well, and we'd be here all day. But if you guys want to see a video on that, by all means. I think that, you know, we could probably do a round table or something like that. Get a few people in who have differing viewpoints and see if we can hash that out. I doubt we'll get consensus, but, you know, when do you ever? So, first up for the Wildcats, because we are reviewing cards here. First up, we have Ageless Troubadour. Troubadour. It's an elf. 2/2 for 3, and at the start of your turn, gain a resource for each elf you control.
It's fine. It fits in a very weird point of the curve, because if you're making this guy, you want to remain an elf on 2.
Yeah.
And that elf on 2 puts you up to 4 on 3, and then if you use the Wild Ruby Hero, it puts you up to 5 on 3. So why would you cast a 3-drop?
Yeah, I mean, the only way that this guy sees play is if you make Howling Brave turn 1. And Howling Brave...
turn 2.
Yeah, and Howling Brave isn't an elf. So... I think it's right. I think you're right that it fits in a bit of a weird place on the curve, and it probably ramps you at a point where you don't need any more ramp.
I mean, if you truly want to just go big, like stupid big, this is probably fine.
Yeah.
But we figured out that you want to go
2 to 5. Yeah. You basically want to go 2 to 5 in this set. Or what would be 2 to 4, but it's actually 2 to 5 now if you're ramping. So I think you want to go down that route. And you'll see a couple of reasons why we think 5 is good very soon.
Yep.
Next up is Balthazar. Now, the last time I played the test server, they've reset his text to the stupid version. A little bit of backstory on this guy. The text that's on him here is exactly how he works. However, when he was first released, there was basically a little song that was on here. And the general consensus from the community was that while... what's the name of that orc? Gotizuma, isn't it? Where it's like, Gotizuma cannot block because death by blocking is unbecoming of a high priest of Koktepthi, you know. So you know what it does. Balthazar had flavor text which was so flavorful you couldn't actually understand what the card did.
Wasn't it a song or something?
Yes, it was. It was a 4-line song. So, it was a case where there's flavor for being flavorful, and then there's just arty, pretentious bullshit, and I think that Balthazar crossed the line. But it looks like they've sent it back. I don't know, because the test server is a little bit weird at the moment, because some of the cards don't work, and others have been changed, and you're not quite sure if they've been changed for the right or wrong yet. You're not quite sure what's going on the test server, but basically this is what the card does.
He's okay, I guess.
He's 6 mana for a 1/2. I mean, I think if he was like a 3/3...
If he draws you 3 or 4, I think he's fine.
Yeah, but if he's drawing you 3 or 4, aren't you winning anyway?
Yeah, I guess he's a win. I won't play this guy in draft either.
No, I mean, it's like, if you're on 6, there are so many better things you can be doing than casting a spell which draws 3 cards and doesn't really put a presence on board. You can be making like 6/6s at that time. You can be making 6/6 invincibles. I'd rather be doing that than making this guy.
Yeah.
In draft, maybe, because sometimes you develop a stall and just drawing that many cards will swing the game.
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan, but I think you might see players like a 1/0 in certain strategies.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, a lot of the 5-drops now, a lot of the Wildcats have like stupid high toughness. So, you can easily draw 5 cards off this. You can easily draw like 4 or 5 cards and gain 5 or 6 life, which there have been cards in Magic the Gathering that have been very good because of that. They've been format warping. But I think the fact that this needs a qualifier makes it a lot worse.
Like, the worst thing that can happen is they kill your guy while this guy's on the stack, right? And then you're like, I'll draw 1 and gain 2 for 6.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
That doesn't seem like the best.
I guess I lose. Next up is Caribou Healer. 4/4 for 5. When it enters play, gain 4 health. Limited, absolutely fine, I think. Constructed, probably won't see much play.
Yeah, just another solid filler card.
Yeah, 4/4s for 5 are pretty much, their average body size, and the 4 health is fine. Now we get into some of the good stuff. Lee likes good stuff. Also, with Jurassic World coming out, it's kind of flavour appropriate. We have Karna Soros, the first one.
Yum.
Yeah, I like this guy a lot.
He kills Mirror Knights in Constructed, which is amazing. Just playing him as a 2-mana kill your guy is fine.
Yeah. Yeah, he's also the... Let me get this straight. He's also the alternate art, or one of the 2 alternate arts that are currently being played in the VIP tournaments. Yeah, I mean, just the fact that he kills Mirror Knight and lives...
He looks so unassuming, but trust me, I've played about 50-60 games with him on the PTR. He's absolutely amazing. Yeah, I mean, we had a deck, or you had a deck built that we came across where it was like there were a lot of 2 and 3 ofs in the deck. This guy was a 4 of. Yeah, he also... He just beats up most of the other 2-drops in the game. Yeah. And half the 3-drops. And the thing is, you don't have to fight with it, do you? That's the thing. It's like you don't have to fight. And if you have a couple of these in play, their abilities stack, and you end up with you end up gaining like 6 health if you punch something. Which is nice. Yeah. So, yeah, this guy is a very unassuming little 2-drop, but he's actually very important, I think. It's just a way for Wild to gain the tempo back early. Again, well costed with needing to be double Wild, I think. I think that if he was single Wild, it would be disgusting. I still played in my deck, my 2-color deck. Yeah. I mean, I think that it's one of those things where if you're playing a deck like, say, Wild Sapphire, I think you have to make a choice, and I personally, at the moment, would not play Counter Magic in that deck, because I think it's just too hard to... I think it's too hard to get the mana right in the deck, because you want like double green for this, double sapphire for counter spell, and then we've got the next guy coming up who you probably want in the deck as well, which is this guy who's triple wild. He is by far the best Rot in the entire set. That's a big claim to make, but
He's insane. He is absolutely insane. Don't forget how we've been describing how wild cards work, how wild is going to work in this set. You are going to be able to drop this turn 3 and just bust up your opponent's board and have a 5/6 in play. And you know what's bad to this? Buccaneering this is bad.
Yep.
Yeah, unless you're going to kill your opponent next turn, buccaneering this is bad.
So this guy comes down, kills their 4-drop, kills their 3-drop, and probably lives.
And even if he doesn't live, he's like an extinction. He's an extinction for 5 in wild, which seems fine to me.
Oh, and then when he's done finishing killing their things, he punches them in the head.
Yeah. Yeah, he's incredibly good. And because, I mean, if you think about it, Crazy Squirrel, like, certainly in the early days of our creation decks, Crazy Squirrel Titan actually saw play. Because Wild needed some form of removal. This guy is 1 mana cheaper, +1/+2.
Those stats are amazing.
Yeah, he's 1 mana cheaper, +1/+2, and can punch 2 things, not 1. Yeah, this guy is incredibly, incredibly good. And Wild has got a lot more fighting cards in this set. You know, it's got the Karna Soros, it's got this guy. Survival of the Fittest has always been playable in Wild if you're going to play it, if you need a removal spell. So
the interesting thing about this guy is if they have 1 troop, you can still play him and he fights that 1 troop. But if they have more than 1 troop, you have to fight 2 of them.
Yeah.
That's how restricted he is, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like if they have a 4/4 and a 5/5 in play, you have to fight. But admittedly, you kill both of them, but you're
still happy.
Yeah, you're still fine. You know, that's the thing. If they have like an Urnaz and a Vampire King in play, this guy comes down and kills both of them. Sure, you know, surely that's good.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's no way to like outstack it either. Well, you can like Crackling Rot it with its ability on the chain, and then it's only 3. But you know, you can't murder it and then have its ability not happen. The game remembers. So yeah, this guy to me is, if Wild is going to make a resurgence, and we have a fairly decent idea that it will do. If Wild is going to make a resurgence, this guy's going to be like one of the main reasons why it has that resurgence. So I think the two.
I am like all over this guy.
Yeah. He's huge. That's the other thing for his stat. It's like 5/6 is enormous, especially for 5 mana. Yeah, and you know, but the thing is, you're looking now at all these cards coming together. You've got you've got Karna Soros, you've got Master Moss, which is now a guarantee on 3 because of the Wild Ruby hero. You've got Crocosaur, which is probably a 3-drop, more than likely a 4-drop after you've made your Master Moss and punched whatever's in the way. And then you've got a load of other stuff which we're going to show you later, which, you know, to me, Wild has got. Admittedly, Wild needed the buff because it's like super underpowered and constructed at the moment, but it's got a monster buff from this set, I think, Wild.
It's super powerful.
Yeah. The problem is that we haven't been able to test it thoroughly against the current meta game because we haven't opened all the cards we needed on the PTR.
We're close.
We're close, but not quite there. And also the fact that a lot of the cards don't work is a bit of a pain in the arse as well. But there's definitely
test server is test server.
Test server is test server, but you know
we're gonna ask nicely at the Hex guys if we can do some like previews for decks and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but this guy to me is like a complete all-star of this set so far, and he's a dinosaur, so like yay. And I don't think
the Dinomancer playable.
And I don't think we need to. Yeah, the Savage Lord. I don't think we need to tell you what to do with this in Limited. If you open it, you pick it. It's like end of conversation.
I would say even if you are in Pack 2 and you are not Wild, you are now Wild and you are now playing. In Pack 3 might be a little bit too late.
In Pack 3, I'd just take it not to play it and say thank you for like the 500 or 600 platinum that it probably is.
Yeah, and not beat it in the finals, right?
Yeah, it's like come up against it in the finals, get punched by it on turn 3 and go, oh, I guess I'm dead then. Next up is Dynamite Target troop gets +5/+5 crush, and when he dies, create a Smasherdon, which is this 5/5 with crush.
You're not going to play this in.
You're not going to play it in constructed.
Limited. He's good.
Yeah, in limited, it's basically like Gigantify in limited, isn't it? It's a game-ending pump action, and it even gives you. The only way to like not get massive value out of this card is if your guy gets blown out when you cast it, and
which you don't let happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen anyway. I think in set 3 there's almost no way of like killing stuff at like super instant speed.
Thing is, this is basically because you're gonna cast on a guy that can attack. It's just massive.
Yeah. Next up, another decent guy, Druidic Exoshaper. It's a +X/+X, where X is the highest cost among troops you control, and target troop in your hand gets +2/+2 and cost +2 as well with a one-shot. This guy's fine. He's a 4/4. He's a 4/4 minimum for 4, which is always fine.
4/4 for 4.
For 4/4, and he's that's always fine. That's absolutely always fine. His ability's quite cool. He makes something a little bit bigger, and which in turn will make him bigger. Say you have like a 3-mana 3/3, it suddenly becomes a 5-mana 5/5, and it bumps this guy up to a 5/5. So it has some nice, cool interaction. I don't think it's quite constructed level, but I think for limited it'll be a very good card.
Yep, I agree.
Next up is Earthcaller. It's a 5/5. Sorry, it's not a 5/5 at all. It's a 2/2 for 5, which is a bit rubbish. And when it enters play, the next troop in your deck becomes absolutely gigantic.
The thing is, this is one of the coyotes I don't like.
Yeah, I mean, the body on it is terrible. You're really hoping that whatever you hit next is super good.
If he was a 3/3, I could see it. But...
Yeah, if he was a 3/3 who gave +3/+3, I think he'd be a lot better. Even though he's like only a 6/6 then net as opposed to a 7/7, I think that a 3/3 is so much better than a 2/2 that it matters.
Yep.
2/2 is just too small. It dies to everything, and so we've kind of spoken a lot about how the prophecy guys are better than they appear because they give you a board presence. This guy doesn't. Yeah, this guy doesn't give you enough of a board presence to make up, but. I think they had to do it because +5/+5 is just massive, and if this guy was like a 3/3 that gave +5/+5, he'd be a bit too good, I think. So they probably should have dialed the +5/+5 down. Next up is Gossamertis. It's probably the first bad card, first like completely bad card that we've seen here. When it enters play, gain 6 health, and you gain 1 health during the start of your turn. Incremental life gain is almost never good.
This is bad.
Yeah. It's like, not a fan. It's like, yes, you can have multiple and just gain a lot of health every turn, but surely there's a lot of better things you can do on 5. Like make a Crocosaur, for example. Next up is Guru of the Wounded Petal. 1 mana for a 4/3, eh? Play this only if 2 or more troops entered play under your control this turn.
I think he's fine. If you can drop him before turn 4.
Yeah.
But I think he's more constructed playable than he is. Yeah,
I think that there's, things like Concubunny and stuff like that, which can make troops. You've also got, not Surprise Runtgun, Hordes of the Litter or whatever it's called. The Runts of the Litter, 1 mana, make 2 Battle Hoppers. So you just play that, then play this, and you've got a 4/3 on turn 2. So I don't know. It's one of those cards where it feels like there should be a way to make it really good, but the problem is you probably are going to have to play bad cards in order for it to see play.
Yep.
Or you're going to have to play.
I can see there being like a wild rush deck as well.
True. There could very well be a wild rush deck.
Like with I can see Pack Raptor in this guy getting along very well.
Pack Raptor. The other option is say you could go like Gas Troll, some Orcish 1-drop, and this guy. I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to work out, to tell you the truth. I think you're going to have to play like spells which put multiple guys into play, and most of those are bad. So I think you're going to see this guy turn 3 more than anything else, which is fine. I mean, because if you're making 2 decent-sized guys and then this guy, you're making like 9 power on turn 3 or 8 or 9 power on turn 3. That's obviously fine. It might be something that we try, because I've always been a fan of like the Wild Ruby Rush style deck. It might be a very good deck to go through the gauntlet with, especially since it's best of 1, so your opponents can't like sideboard into massive amounts of creature hate.
One other thing we haven't mentioned is this guy's probably okay with Poker. I mean, the charge ball's a bit of the way down the line, but
yeah, I mean it's true. I mean, at the end of the day, 4/3 for 1. The thing is that you can go use Pocket's ability, make a guy, make this guy, alright, he's not ahead of curve, but you've still got 2 mana up, so you can use that to Crackling Bolt something, or something like that. So, even if it's a little bit late in the game, he's still a 1 mana 4/3. I think you're just going to have to be very careful with how you play your guys out, because he is the worst top deck ever, pretty much.
Yeah. That's his big downside.
Yeah. But early in the game, his upside might just be enough. Next up is Heart of the Wrathwood. It's a 6 mana 0/0 that gets +1/+1 in all zones for each permanent resource you have. When this dies, create a seed pod for each point of toughness this had and put them into play.
I'm not 100% on this.
I'm not 100% on it, because the thing is, what WoW wants to do is ramp. And the problem with that is that if you've ramped, this guy will only be like a 4/4?
Yeah.
Like a 4/4 for 6, something like that. Bring up what its seed pod is. It's a 0/1 with defensive. At the start of your turn, add a seed counter to it. When it gains a seed counter, if there's 3 or more on it, remove them all and transform it into a random plant. Now, there are some quite powerful plants.
Yeah. There's also some quite rubbish ones as well.
There's also some very bad ones, yeah. I can see what they're trying to do. It's like a dude who has value, but
I just think there's too many better.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, for Constructed, I don't see it at all, because he's just like, I'm murdering an extinction away from being useless, which, you know, is what most blood decks are playing, and he's 6 mana, so he probably runs into a counter magic. Or he gets bounced all the time. But having said that, though, if he gets bounced, he comes back down even bigger. He's kind of like Honeycap in that regard.
In Limited, I think he's really good.
Yeah, in Limited, he's a bomb. But he's legendary. I would expect him to be a bomb in Limited. But, yeah, I think that there's too much going on in Constructed that you're going to want to play this guy. You might play him as a one-of, I don't know. But the thing is, I think that there probably won't be room in the wild decks that you want to play. I think there's too many better cards.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking at Master Moss, you look at Jadim, you look at Crocosaur, you look at various other cards that we're going to come to as well. I think this guy just falls a little bit short on that. Next up, we have Hempseed Dryad. 2/3 for 4 with a 1-shot revert another target troop. I'm not a fan. It's too small for its cost.
Another rubbish card.
Yeah, 5 mana to revert a card. You look at this and then you look at Manti Druid, you know, the Manti Elder Druid from set 1, 4/4 for 5 that reverted something when it came into play. That's just better. Next up, Lithe Lyricist. 1/2 for 2 at the start of your turn, gain a temporary resource.
You like this card.
I like this card, yeah. It's another way to ramp. You know, everyone likes ramp. Constructed, it might not be quite good enough. I think that it's competing with too much at the 2 slot.
I think it's fine in Constructed. It's my ramp of choice is this and Chlorophylla at the minute.
I think it depends what sort of deck you're playing. If you're playing Eye of Creation, it's going to be Chlorophylla and Puck over this. Whereas this guy...
I think play them like Chlorophylla, Puck and this probably.
Depends how much ramp you want to play. Those sort of decks, to build those sort of decks, it's always a bit of a juggling job between how much fat and how much ramp you want. Because you basically want to hit 5 on turn 3 in every game, but you don't want to cast Eye of Creation for 4 and have it hit 3 ramp cards. So, you know, I think there's what you might do is play like 4 Chlorophylla, 3 Puck, and 3 of this, or something like that. I'm not too sure. You might just play 4 Puck, 2 of this. Because let's face it, you want Puck on turn 2 in that deck. Limited, you're obviously taking it. Limited, it's obviously good as well, because if you're ramping into the elf deck, that's what you want to do. Next up is Lullaby. Revert all attacking troops, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to and by those troops this turn.
See, when I saw this, I thought, yes, another card to annoy people with.
Fogs are fogs, I think
this is a fog that reverts, though, which is very powerful.
That is very powerful indeed, yes. Try to think which... I mean, the only ones that I can see, it reverts things that have permanent buffs on them. Permanent buffs don't see much play in Constructed, from what I'm thinking. Yeah, it's mainly permanent debuffs that get played in Constructed, not permanent buffs. So you're not going to take much off with these guys. I suppose...
It's nice that it's there, though.
The other thing it does do, it removes the text that Mirror Knight, that Inspire troops give, right?
Yeah.
So that can be a thing, definitely. No, you don't draw cards. So
I think there's possibly another version of the fog deck that we was messing about with as well with this.
There possibly is. It just depends how many colours you have to touch, which is a little bit awkward.
Limited, I don't know.
No, I mean, there's always...
I don't think it's good enough.
No, fogs generally aren't in limited unless it's a very sort of hit you, hit me format. You might occasionally see play in some decks, but I think it has to be used as sort of a trick rather than a control card.
Yep, I agree with that.
Next up, we have Merry Minstrels. 2/3 for 3. When it enters play, create a wild shard if you control or you have an elf in hand.
This is very good in limited.
I think it's very good, yeah. Absolutely very good. These sort of cards have always been fine. 3 toughness is good. You get to filter your deck a little bit and have a guaranteed shard for the next...
It doesn't
it doesn't filter your deck, you're right. It creates it. But it does make sure that you're going to stay on curve with that. I think it's fine. You're going to be picking up elves quite a lot in limited anyway. Constructed, not seeing it. It's not strong enough.
It's like draw half a card, isn't it?
Yeah. Next up's Nature's Resolve. Target a troop you control. All your troops that share a trait with it in all zones get this, can't be interrupted. That's going to be awkward.
I think it's a reasonable sideboard card as long as your opponent doesn't have removal.
Yeah, I mean...
It's the thing is, you're basically discarding a card to make 4 of your cards, your opponent's cards, irrelevant if they're playing 4 counter spells.
Yeah, probably something like that. It doesn't feel too good on that front. I mean, it does mean you can like cast it on your 2/2 and your Crocosaurs are uncounterable. But yeah, it feels like it's one of those cards where everyone's like, "Oh my god, counter magic's so annoying. I've got to play around." It's like counter magic isn't that hard to play around. Just build your deck in a way that your opponent can't hold up, or play in a way that your opponent can't constantly hold up 3 mana. It's like there are ways to play around counter magic. It's not completely format bending, but unfortunately, the thing is, it's like I think that, and this isn't to knock on anyone, but I think that counter magic type spells become less and less of an issue the better you get at the game. It's like when you first get into a game, you think, "Oh, counter magic's so unfair." It's like it's an answer to everything. It's like, well, it's an answer to everything, but it does require you to pay a cost for it. This is why I didn't like Wild Sapphire for ages, because Wild wanted to be making guys, but you couldn't make guys because you wanted to have your counter magics up, and you ended up with this. You made a decision, and it was usually always wrong.
An internal tension, didn't it?
Yeah. So as long as you understand what the counter magics are there for, if the guy is just counter magicking a guy and not putting any pressure on you, it's a 1-for-1 trade. He might as well have murdered it. Whereas if he has a guy on board, if he has pressure on board and counter magic in hand, that's a totally different. That's totally different.
Or if he's keeping his Reese alive.
Yeah, or if he's keeping his Reese alive. That's the one area where I think counter magic becomes like very. Super powerful, is because Reese doesn't cost anything when it comes into play. Hey, we're back on Reese being powerful. Who'da thunk? And by the way, in the Wild Sapphire deck, yes, we're still playing Reese.
We just haven't tested him yet because apparently he doesn't exist on the test server.
It's like, open 100 Shattered Destiny packs, don't get one.
There was an interesting post on Reddit where like everybody posted how many they'd opened and how many they'd seen, and nobody has seen one on the test server.
So they've just banned him, have they? So they've just preemptively banned him. Next up, Neblin Treeguard, 4 mana, 4/3.
He's fine.
Solid for limited, yeah.
He's an elf as well.
He's an elf. Constructed, no, but yeah, for limited, he's fine. Nibbling Skirmisher, 1 mana, 1/1, and he has an ability which gives him where he can grow this turn.
I think he's fine.
Yeah, he's alright, yeah. Plus he's nibbling. Also, like, late in the game, you can, like, be on 7 shards, drop this guy, and he's suddenly quite big. You know,
what's the cost to activate?
3.
I thought it was 1 to activate. I was getting excited.
That'd be a bit dumb, really, I think. Next up, Night Sky Stargazer. 3/3 for 4. Prophecy. When this enters play, the next troop in your deck gets +2/+2. I think this is a much better version of the 5 mana that 2/2 that gives +5/+5.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, this guy is going to be a pretty high pick. I think his stats aren't the greatest. 4 mana 3/3 isn't that good. He's a hill giant if you're going to use terminology, but he's a hill giant with an ability, which usually makes them quite good.
It's a hill giant with an ability and a non-prohibitive casting cost.
Yeah. Next up, Predatory Pray. 5 mana basic action. Target troop you control gets +2/+2 this turn and then punches an opposing troop.
This is good. I've played a bit with it.
I would much prefer it to be +2/+2 permanently.
Yeah, but, you know.
I think it seems very slow, especially at basic action. I do like the fact the deer's you know, you've got the deer just stomping all over the hunter now.
The thing is, it's still a removal spell in wild.
True. I mean, I think we might have been spoiled a little bit by Survival of the Fittest on that front, but hey.
I've played a couple in a few decks and they're fine.
Yeah, you'll pick him in limited for sure. Because you can always just play it, punch the guy and then attack, and you still get the buff on it. We've already discussed Pupil of Creation before.
Nothing has changed, he's still rubbish.
Nothing has changed, we still don't like him. You'll probably play him in limited, just because you can make a 5/5. Like, you know, you can make a 5/5, and you're probably ramping up to 5 is probably what you're doing anyway. But constructed, I don't see it. As far as I'm concerned, he doesn't have any text below that this gets +2/+2 whenever you cast a spell with 5 or greater. It's like the one-shot thing just doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Next up is Red Fur Ranger. When this enters play, the next troop in your deck gets crushed, and it's a 2/2 for 2.
This guy's fantastic.
Well, it's a 2/2 for 2, which is fine, and he has an upside, right? Yeah. And you're gonna be playing fat stuff, so
you should play him with the wild deck.
Yeah.
Sorry, in the diamond deck with your other upside random bodies.
Yeah. Next up is Return to the Soil. Destroy an artifact or constant, draw a card.
It's fine sideboard card.
Fine reserve card, absolutely fine reserve card. Not sure it'll see play over Nature's Reigns. I mean, draw a card.
It's a bit much though, isn't it?
Yeah, if it was 3, I think you'd play it over Nature's Reigns. 4's a bit much. Next up, Rhythmic Spiritualist. We like this card, don't we?
I think he's crazy good in limited.
Well, he's a 3 mana 3/4, which is an awesome body for the cost.
I might even play him in constructed as a 1-of in the sideboard.
At the end of your turn, you may put target troop from your graveyard into your deck. If you do, that troop gets +2/+2 and costs -2. Seems fine to me. Again, he's one of these cards where you look at his ability and you go, well, that doesn't really affect the board too much, and it's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit slow. And it's like, but he's a 3/4 for 3. His tech doesn't actually matter on that front.
He's a 3/4 for 3, which is an amazingly good cost.
Yeah.
And then he recycles your good cards.
Yeah, exactly. So we're happy with that one. Next one is Rites of the Tranquil Dream. 3 mana quick action. Reveal the top 6 cards of your deck. Revealed troops get +1/+1. Put a revealed troop into your hand and put the remaining cards into your deck.
I'm not sure on this one.
It's like Impulse, right? For wild. I'm not sure it fits where you want it to fit.
It's one of those other ones where I've not had a chance to play with it yet.
But then again, with the whole prophecy thing, you can, like, you know, I don't know. It's a strange one, it really is. But I always am intrigued by these sorts of abilities because 6 cards is a lot.
6 cards is a lot. I think if you're ever playing a creature-based combo deck or something.
Yeah, possibly.
That's what it'll see. I think it's probably okay in limited.
Or if you're like, they're just going, I desperately need my dinosaur, and it's now 6/7, and you put it in your hand, you know. So
I think you might play it in limited.
Yeah.
I'm not sure for constructed.
I think you'll definitely play it in limited. I think constructed, there might be better things you can do.
You shouldn't miss anyway in limited.
No. Next up, Rot Enchanter, 3/5 Skyguard Steadfast.
I've used this guy's filler quite a few times.
Yeah,
he's not terrible.
He's not terrible, but he blocks a lot. He basically locks the board down, doesn't he? He's a lockdown card, defensive card. But I think that elves want to be on offense more than defense.
Well, the thing is, it's the problem with him is he's not massively well started. You're not going to like message your friends and go, I just opened this guy. But he's going to do a good job for you.
Yeah, he's a solid
He's
guy.
very, very good out of the board as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up is Rune Elite. 4 mana, 2/2 with Crush. When a troop enters play under your control, this gets +2/+2 this turn.
I think he's okay.
Yeah, he's no more than okay. I mean, 4/4 for 4 is what you should be looking at in terms of stats. So you have to constantly play creatures to make him actually up to snuff.
If you ever get a turn where you put in like a lot of creature tokens into play or something, though, he's very powerful.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's anything that does that in set 2 though. Set 3, sorry. So I think he's like meh, to tell you the truth. If he was 3/3, he'd be amazing. But like at 2/2, no, I think you'll probably pick him as like a 30th or 40th card. If you've got the deck for him, he's really good. If you don't, he's going to be meh. I think is the way we put that. Also, he's shockingly bad on defense.
Oh yeah.
Next up is Scorn of Oberon. 3 mana, quick action, destroy up to 1 target artifact, destroy up to 1 target constant, revert up to 1 target troop.
So I think this replaces Nature's Rid.
Yes, yeah, more than likely, because you can like destroy your soul marble, destroy a I don't think they'll play artifacts in any of those decks, but it's like destroy your soul marble and revert my guy that you shrunk with Zentos Inquisitor. You know, that seems fine. I think it's okay. It'll be a sideboard card, absolutely. Next up, Skydancer. 1/4 with Skyguard. At the start of your turn, if you have a card with 5 or greater in your hand, gain +1/+0.
I don't like this guy at all.
I don't either. He feels very slow for what he does, and he's way too defensive.
And he's double green threshold as well.
Yeah. Next up, Smash to the Ground. Target group gets +X/+X this turn.
This is fine.
Yeah, it's a quick action as well. These sort of effects have always been effective, certainly in limited. I think in constructed probably not, but like limited definitely. I mean, the thing is, you don't have to put like 8 mana into this. If you put like 3 mana into it, you're gonna kill whatever you're blocking. You know,
I think it's fine in constructed as well.
Maybe. I think you want to be doing other things. Combat tricks in constructed have usually never been as good as they are in limited, because it's too easy to like attack, they block, you use this, you get repelled, and you get 2 for 1.
What about make my crocodile play this on him, kill all your stuff?
Well, there is that, but I mean, again, then you're trading 2 cards for 2 cards. So like, the great thing about the Crocosaur is it either trades 2 for 1 or it's 2 for none. You know, that's the great thing about Crocosaur. Once you start using multiple cards, I think it gets worse. Next up is Snarl Brute, 6/6 with Spell Shield for 7.
This guy is incredibly frustrating to play against in limited.
Well, Spell Shield's incredibly frustrating to play against on the whole anyway. But,
Which means he's good.
Which means he's good, yeah. And you're going to have the ability to hit 7 mana around turn 5, usually, in an elf deck or so. So, you drop this on turn 5, your opponent usually isn't winning. And the thing is with Spell Shield, it's like, then you're just totally free to use whatever combat tricks you have.
His only issue is he doesn't have Crush.
Yeah.
So he can get Chumpingtoned a lot.
He can get Chumpington, but he's basically an abyss under those circumstances, isn't he? So it seems fine. Fine in limited, constructed, no. Next up, Stinkhorn Suit. Ready target troop and it gets lethal.
It's an amazing combat troop.
Yeah, this is basically one green, one wild, kill your guy. Probably kills my guy, but it kills your guy as well.
You can put this on a guy with Swift Strike.
Yeah. That's a really, really nice combat trick. Next up is Stirring Aeration. This is really good.
Really good.
This card gets +2/+2, and if you control a card with 5 or greater, that troop gets an additional +3/+3.
So it's +5/+5 if you have a 5 drop.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. And it's fine anyway. It's like +2/+2 is fine. It's slightly worse than Crackling. I keep forgetting what the green Crackling spell is. Is it Growth or something?
I don't know.
Can't remember.
I've never played it, so we
+2/+2 in charge. +2/+2 and gain a charge and crush. So it's worse than that if it's not buffed, but if it's buffed, it's obviously way better. So nicely designed card, very good trick. Storm Drummer, 1/1 for 1. Prophecy, when it enters play, the next troop in your deck gets when this troop enters play, you can have it fight an opposing troop.
I think this guy's fine.
Yeah, I think he's fine. He's a limited dude again. You'll play him in your deck with fat monsters hoping to punch something. Next, Sylvan Duet. I'm not seeing it. It's worse than Hex Engine.
Unfortunately, I've played it a couple of times. It's been okay. In limited, I've not been happy playing it, but sometimes you've just got it, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you've got fat enough creatures, then sometimes you have to. Constructed, no. It's like Hex Engine doesn't see any play, and Hex Engine's better than this is. So, not seeing it. Next up is Sylvan Performer. 2 mana, 2/2. When you play a card with cost 5 or greater, draw a card.
I don't like it.
I think on 2 you want to be ramping more than playing this guy.
If you're going to play a guy with this effect, we'll see the guy you want to play later on. He copies the card, basically.
Yeah, to be honest, if there weren't better cards to do, there are a couple of better cards in this set. If there weren't better ones than this, I would be very happy playing this card. But I think there are probably a couple of better things to do. If you're playing a ramp deck, you want a ramp card, not this guy, on turn 2, and he doesn't fit anywhere else on the curve, because once you get past turn 3 or 4, you want fat, not draw a card. Next up, I think, is Lee's second favourite card of the set, and that's Twotaneous Majesty, because it's been changed.
Yes, let's tell a little story about the Walking Calamity that could.
Yeah, the Walking Calamity that actually could. Walking Calamity is a card that you'll see in our next video, but I will spoil it here for the moment. It is a 10/10 for 10 with Crush and Speed, and when it dies, it deals 10 damage to everything your opponent controls.
If you notice the small thing on Twotaneous Mastery,
yep.
If you socket that with a
punch,
a ruby gem that punched him in the face when he comes into play, that, my friends, adds up to 20.
Yep, it does indeed. And it even adds up to 30 if your guy somehow dies. So, and considering you can cast Twotaneous Majesty on turn 3, we are looking at potential turn 3 kills. I think, and the thing is, what makes it laugh even for me is that you can put Spell Shield in it, and afterboard, and still have a turn 4 kill, because you can make Jadim on turn 3. And then turn 4, use this into Walking Calamity and attack for 20. So, for me, Wild has always had the problem that it was trying to be honest for the most part. It was always going like, I have a guy in play, I'm going to use this guy to kill you. That is what Wild did. Now, Wild is going, actually, I'm just going to straight up kill you. And I think that that's a huge, huge difference.
The thing is, the Creation decks were always like, we have this Creation, we're going to cast blah, blah, blah. And now you can really put pressure on the verdicts of the counter spells, because you cast this on like 4.
And then you can eye later in the game as well. And you've also got your Crocosaur that you can play on 5. You've got your Wrathwood Mastermoss, which you can play on 4, otherwise known as 3. And, you've got your little fight dinosaurs and things like that. For me, Wild Wild was kind of always, it had no pressure, and then it had a shed load of pressure at the top end, which was too late, because by then counter magics were online and extinctions and all that sort of stuff. Now, Wild seems to me like it's putting pressure all along the board on your opponent. And that's a big, big difference. Because that once you start putting pressure on your opponent and making him react to you in the early game, the odds are you are going to resolve something big. And if you resolve something big now, it could very much be the end of the game.
Yeah, it's just like, this card's obscene, basically.
Yeah.
The other thing is, we'd have loved to give you like a provisional deck list or something for this, but unfortunately you can't actually cast this
Once again, it does. Yeah, it's not that it doesn't work on the test server. You actually physically cannot cast this card on the test server.
Well, that's why it's a test server.
Yeah, it might very well be that it's still locked in its original form, which was the +2/+2 jobby. Whereas now, this card is nuts in its current form.
I would honestly be surprised if it makes it to live.
You think it's going to get either nerfed or... You think it's going to get nerfed?
I think so, yeah.
I think they might make it socketable minor. So you can't have the punch gem. But even then, Spell Shield's still ridiculous. It might be they have to take... I mean, the thing is, if you want to go like super deep with Twotaneous Majesty and the punch gem, just play Wrathwood Colossus as well. You know,
you can also, there's another way you can get that kill. Remember what we were talking about? You can also play Root Father, that guy we were talking about before.
Arborean Root Father. Punch him in the head for 8, give something +8/+8, and attack for like 8 plus whatever the +8/+8 the other guy got. So, you know, there's so many ways this deck can... a wild deck can now just straight up kill you having cast this spell. And it's the same with Eye of Creation as well. It can, you know... They cast the Eye of Creation and it can straight up kill you. However, I'm going to make a controversial statement now. This card is better than Eye of Creation.
For sure, yeah. I think you still play 2 Eye of Creations in the deck.
Yeah. I don't think it's better than the old Eye of Creation, but I think it's better than current Eye of Creation. Yeah, I think that there's going to be some very, very powerful stuff happening with Wild in set 3. We did say, I mean, there's been a discussion on Reddit recently, like, would there be any new decks coming out of set 2, or would it just be the old guard again? I think the old guard is still super powerful. However, what I think is going to happen is you're going to see what are now tier 2 decks moving into tier 1 because they've plugged their gaps. You know, it's like the Wild deck always had a problem that it just got outvalued horribly by the Sapphire decks. Now, not only can it like value them back using the Dinosaur and the Crocosaur, it can also just end the game immediately if it resolves a spell. So it doesn't get locked down by all the like Mastery of Time rubbish either. So I really think that Wild is going to be something you're going to have to like seriously look out for now. Which is a shame because I've got sod all wild cards. But, you know,
we're going to have to do some shifting.
We're going to have to do some shifting on that one, which is good because, I 3-1'd a VIP tournament yesterday, so that's like 3,000 platinum or something. So, you know, we're getting towards it. I think that, you know, that I really do think Wild is probably where a lot of people are going to head first up. I think that, ironically, I think that a good deck against it would be the Wild Sapphire Flash deck that we have. I think that would actually be quite good against that deck because you're probably going to run 4 Verdict and 4 Counter Magic and you're going to be able to hold off the Majesties. But then again, you've still got to deal with the Master Mosses and all the remaining rubbish that's going to be coming from the deck. So you're going to be under a lot of pressure in the coming days, I think.
Just the possibility of just killing someone on turn 3 is just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, people were complaining about Gore Feast. This could be like instantaneously worse. Like,
yeah, you're just going under Gore Feast.
Yeah. So, but it's just hilarious to me that your opponent can go turn 2, make Mirror Knight. You can go, that's nice, kill you. It's like, nice Mirror Knight, bro. Insane.
The deck's not even a one-trick pony either, because all the other cards in it are really good.
Well, it's kind of like, I mean, we're going way back in time here, but it's like kind of like the Fires of Yavimaya deck. that was in Magic the Gathering for a while. It was like, yes, it could just make turn 3 hasty. It could just kill you instantly using Sapling Burst, but it also just made 5 fights for 4 and beat you up with them. I think that a Twotaneous Majesty deck will play very much like that, like a Fires of Yavimaya deck. It'll be like, fat guys, control your board, by the way, you're dead. And, like, control decks never quite got to grips with the Fires deck.
Yep.
Especially if the Fires deck was played well. I think this will kind of... It might be a skill tester of a deck against people who are competent at playing control deck. Because it might be one of those where if you just go balls to the wall with the deck, you'll end up losing. But if you play it correctly, there's almost no way the control deck can win. Anyway. Because, I mean, the thing with coming back to the Eye of Creation argument, the thing with Eye of Creation is if you didn't hit a Fist of Brigadon, all your opponent had to do was cast Extinction. And then the Eye was pretty much undone.
Well, this
and Walking Calamity make Extinction bad. Yeah. It's like if you hit a Walking Calamity off this, your opponent can't cast Extinction. Because he just dies. He basically has to buccaneer the Walking Calamity.
Imagine this said only dies at end of turn. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. Like, I win! Oh well, we'll stop.
Anyway,
we'll stop gushing on that. So basically, that guy in Crocosaur, just get him. Next up, Vine Lash. 1 mana, deal 4 damage to a troop with flight. Guess what this kills, Lee?
Such an unassuming looking card. That's amazing.
Yeah. Kills Vampire King. Kills Angel of Dawn.
It's actually very bad in Limited though. It doesn't kill a lot of the stuff.
No, I mean it's a board card. You're never playing it main deck in anything, but it is a sideboard card. It's basically the thing is though, with Crocosaur in, are you even bothered? It's like with Crocosaur, don't you just punch everything out of the air anyway?
Well, punching more things is better.
Yeah, I just love the idea of a Crocosaur, an angel flying over a Crocosaur, and it just punching it.
It's the same as the Jurassic World scene where the big predator comes up from the water and just chomps the thing.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Anyway, the last card, Wrathwood Lash, 6 mana, 4/6. Discard it, create a wild shard, and put it into your hand.
It's decent.
It's decent. Limited. It's decent in Limited. That's all it is. It'll never see playing Constructed at all. So, let's see, Lee. What did we think of the wild cards overall? I mean, this guy's okay, right? I mean, he's fine. You know, actually, no, he's rubbish. Give them all to us. You know, just give them all to us. They're not very good. And you know, let's just have a. I mean, everyone hates RNG, right? It's like RNG's terrible. So just give all these to us as well, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just give them to us. We'll take care of them for you. And
the thing is, even with Twotaneous Majesty, you hit a crocodile, it shoots your opponent in the face for 5 and kills 2 of the guys.
It's quite good, isn't it? Oh dear. Oh, why did this have to happen? We did do some maths on Twotaneous Majesty. Well, I did some maths. Lee listened. And what do we say? It's like if you have 12 fatties, then it's something like a 75% chance to hit one of them. So there is the chance this just totally bricks. You know, it's like a 25% chance it does just completely brick. But if it hits, it's game ending. And I like the opportunity on turn 3 to go 75% chance I win the game.
Yep.
Seems fine to me. Okay, guys, that's the wild cards, and we are happy with these wild cards. We like these wild cards. And we will be back next time for the champions, the artifacts, and the multicolored cards. So this has been for Carvel Gaming, and I'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.